As a parent, what is the most heartbreaking thing your son or daughter has done with you? My son had cancer a few years ago at age 4. After his initial operation, he was in the recovery room hooked up to all the monitors. He had been intubated during surgery and was still half asleep with his eyes closed. When I held his hand and he said in the tiniest raspy voice, "Daddy, please take me home." I asked my 11-year-old if he wanted to hang with Dad, and he said no thanks for the first time ever, and I was crushed. I'm getting a little misty thinking about it. My daughter just turned 5 and asked me for real makeup. I asked her why she wanted it because I don't wear any unless it's like a special occasion, and she said to feel beautiful. Apparently the girls in her class told her she wasn't. Now it's part of affirmations. I can do anything. I am beautiful. No kid should have to worry about that. Broke my heart. When her mom left and I hadn't seen her in months, I was in tears, but my daughter was like nothing had happened. Absolutely broke me. My son is almost 2. He's at the age where he wants to be right in the middle of everything I'm doing. It's endearing up to the point that he starts running off with my tools or bits of what I'm working on. The most recent occasion was excessive. Every tool I set down disappeared and I'd have to chase him down. Finally I made him look me in the eye and told him no. I fussed at him for maybe 2 minutes straight. When I was done, he just leaned in and hugged me. Totally made me feel like an ass. My son in kindergarten needed to take money to buy toys at school for a fundraiser. I explained how to pay and get change, and I gave him $5. He was really nervous about doing it wrong because he knew money was important. I said, "Relax, it will be easy," and he burst out crying and said, "It's not easy when you're just a little boy." And I felt that it summed up all the vulnerabilities of being a little dude trying to learn how the world works. Still makes me laugh/cry a little. My kids were trying to get me to say who I loved more, and I tried to help them understand why I couldn't answer by saying, "That's like me asking who you love more, me or mommy." My daughter dead-ass looked me right in the eye and said, "We love mommy more." Paused, almost as if for effect, and added, "Way more." It was more funny than heartbreaking, but damn girl. Our cat died last August. In December we had a miscarriage. When I told my kids that the baby died, they started laughing and cheering. Now Frances, the cat, is not alone anymore and has someone to play with me. Buried her mother, who died of cancer. The hardest part was telling her mommy was going to die. To me. Grew up. I miss my daughters being at the fun ages. My son, 11, once broke down crying at bedtime. It took me a very long time to convince him to tell what's wrong. He said, "I always feel I'm not enough. I still have so many things I don't know or can't do. I'm doing everything wrong." What happened before his breakdown? I told him he had to get faster at bedtime because it usually takes him half an hour to get ready because he always has his head in the clouds. Reminded me to be more patient with him. Poor little dude, sad face. About 15 months ago I had to hold my then almost 6-year-old as we went into this little room at the funeral home. I held her in my arms while we looked at her mom/my wife for the last time. I didn't know if I should have taken her in there or not, but looking back I'm glad I did. I think her and I both needed to be able to see her one last time and say bye. The next day my little girl and I sat there as they lowered her into the ground. It's been amazing to see just how much hurt and suffering a little family can go through when they lose mom. We miss her every day and we go to the cemetery often. They say time is supposed to help, but so far no help in sight. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. Edit, this certainly got more attention than I thought it would. It felt cathartic to write it out, to be honest. One thing I left out is that although I had a nearly 6-year-old at the time, I was also blessed and left with our 16-month-old daughter when she passed. One will remember their mom and all she did and loved, and one won't. I'm not sure how that will look or work in the future. However, I am very lucky to have them both, and I am lucky to have had her while I did. Secondly, my wife made the unfortunate decision to take her own life. I had known this girl for 11 years and not once did she ever worry me or cause me alarm. So for those out there that need assistance, please reach out. Suicide is never the answer and it leaves behind so much hurt. Thank you all so much for the kind words and wisdom. Take care of one another in these truly trying times. Find or make the happiness you can. I was talking to my daughter about her needing to keep her room clean. She will be 7 in a couple weeks. After a bit she just broke down crying and said, "I'm not normal, I'm so dumb." It broke my heart to hear her say that. My son told me he was being picked on the bus. I was picked on the bus, at his age, 7 to 8, also. It brought back some of those feelings. We nipped it in the bud, and the bully's parents were appropriately responsive. My daughter was over at a neighbor's house and was attacked by their dog. Left her with puncture scars on her wrist and upper thigh. Something like that makes you see how vulnerable things really are. She was upset about the scars, and I quickly pointed out all of the scars on my arms, face, and neck. I asked her, "Do you see these scars when you look at me?" She said she never noticed them before, and I think that made her feel much better. I see those scars now, and weirdly it makes me sad. Mine have made me feel self-conscious, and I know she will have some of that. I guess I feel like I let her down by not being there to protect her, but then you realize at the same time that you can't be there all the time. I appreciate the awards and the thoughtful comments and stories. I hope everyone has a great weekend. My best friend of over 20 years was my daughter's godmother, fairy godmother as my daughter called her. We were all very close. We saw her multiple times a week. She was like my sister. She was there the day I was told I could finally try to get pregnant. Long story there. She went to appointments with me. She was waiting in the hospital after my emergency C-section. She had cancer, and my daughter knew she was sick. My daughter and her still did yoga together, dressed like fairies, read books. She taught my daughter Spanish. They were close. Then she died last year. My daughter was 3. I had to explain it to her. She understood. She asked if we could visit her though. No. But can I still love her? And that's what broke me. She still says she misses her all the time. Me too, kid. Me too. Edit, I just saw this was AskMen. Sorry I didn't see that when I posted. If y'all want me to delete, I will. Upon separating with my wife, my oldest child pulled me aside and asked, "Daddy, if you leave, who is going to protect me from mommy?" My older son was 5 and I was in the midst of horrible postpartum anxiety. Just a mess, but quietly trying to keep him from it. His dad has to go out of town and has a cute little "you're the man of the house, take care of your mom" talk with him. 2 a.m., I can't sleep, anxious out of my mind, quietly trying to keep it together, and I hear him rustling about. Comes waddling into my bed, dragging his blankie, and announces he's here to take care of me. My oldest is 4, she stuns me constantly with how clever she is and how she thinks of things. She understands the idea of death due us having a couple of cats die. One day she asks if she'll go to my heaven when she dies. Then tells me she wants to die before me so I'll be with her for her whole life. We both cried a whole lot. Shit, I'm tearing up just writing it. I can think of 2 right off the top of my head. When my oldest was first born and I was watching him, I'd hold him while he slept. I'd get set up with a snack and a drink, sit in the recliner, and put his head on my shoulder. As he got old enough to walk and talk, I'd just say time for a nap, and he'd climb up, and put his arms around me and go to sleep. One day, when he was around 2.5 years old, he said he'd rather sleep in his bed. I kept my cool and said, "Oh, sure, that's fine," while my heart broke. He never slept in my arms again. The other one was the last time I took my daughter trick-or-treating. I was at work on Halloween talking about how I had to get home early to get ready to take her out and how it would probably be the last time she wanted me to take her. When I got home she told me she had made arrangements to go out with her friends instead, and I realized that the previous year was the last time. Again, "Oh, sure, that's fine." You never find out it's the last time when it's happening. You always figure it out later when it's too late. When my son was 5 or so, I was in a battle to the death with a recalcitrant tape measure and he saw my struggles and said, "You need a hug," and I yelled back, "I don't want a hug." He ran off and I immediately thought, what have I done? So I chased him down and held him tight and apologized over and over again. WTF me? He was such a sweet little boy. He's 23 now and maybe not quite as sweet but still a very good person.